غرباء 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 غرباء.
And in fact, from the beginning, you may say, well, how does that make sense? From the Sahaba to the time of Malik, it's been like 150 years now. How come no one's written a book of Hadith? Because it wasn't allowed. It was actually prohibited to write a book of Hadith. From the time of the Khulafa, no one was allowed to write it so it wouldn't be mixed with Quran. So because in the beginning there were no organized way of gathering a hadith, keeping it separate from the Quran, so fearing that, no one allowed compiling a hadith until way later on, time of Imam Malik. That's why they didn't have a book of hadith before that, the time of Sahaba or Tabi'een. So Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi, he compiled the Muwatta, and in his manners, we heard about the Khalifa, Ja'far al-Mansur. Who is this Khalifa? The first Abbasi Khalifa. Did we mention him last time?
Yeah.
What did we say last time? What did he do? Well, yeah, the government, they imprisoned Abu Hanifa. This is the same Khalifa, Ja'far al-Mansur, the one who imprisoned Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah alayhi. So, after writing the Muwatta, Ja'far al-Mansur told Imam Malik, you know, this book of yours, I want to make it the main book of hadith in the whole of the Islamic Empire, and burn every other book of hadith, and make everyone follow your fiqh and your book. Imam Malik said, don't do that, because the Sahabas, they've been dispersed and they've gone to other lands, and there are hadith there that I haven't heard, and other fiqh that come from Sahaba that I don't know about. So you can't make it the main book of hadith. And that's why that didn't happen, because Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi, he refused. And so many people, when coming to Imam Malik, you know, nowadays when someone comes and asks us about Islamic ruling, even Ahmed and Abdullah or Mahmoud from the street or anyone, they have Islamic rulings and fatwa, and they never stuck. They never get stuck. You can ask anyone, they'll give you an answer. I've actually seen people standing there outside the road with a cigarette in his hand answering Islamic questions. So the fatwa, enough fatwa, and it never stops. But with the likes of Imam Malik, they report that on so many different occasions, he just used to say, I don't know. They used to come from far and wide, the Islamic Empire, and he would just say, I don't know. Like the man who came from Morocco, 4-month journey, with a question that no one knew in Morocco. Came all the way to Medina, to Imam Malik, and saw him, and he presented the question. Imam Malik, he went and did wudu, he came back, sat down, said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, thought for a bit and said, give me until tomorrow. The next day, the guy comes, he goes, do wudu, ghusl, comes back, sits down, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and he thinks for a bit, looks at him and he says, I don't know the answer. So he said, oh Imam, I have come 4 months from Morocco, going through that long desert, the Sahara desert, to get to Medina. And I have to go another 4 months back to get to Morocco. So I have to have an answer for the scholars there. He told him, Imam Malik said, tell them that Imam Malik says, I don't know. Go back 4 months and tell them that I don't know. I'm not going to make up something because you came 4 months. You came 4 months? I don't know. Could have come 5 years, I still don't know. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, every time he wanted to narrate the hadith or talk about the hadith, he used to go home, have a ghusl or a wudu, wear the best clothes, the best perfume, the best shoes, come with the head down and sit, don't talk to anyone, and start with la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and then the basmala, and then mention the hadith. In the class of, do you remember a guy when I mentioned about the environment of the school of Abu Hanifa? How was that? Debates, discussions, and he says this and he goes that and they say this and then the verdict is this and then they conclude and then the next fiqh matter ila akhir. Imam Malik, not a pin drop. When the Imam was talking, they would flip the pages like this. Like that. And he had such an aura and hayba, Imam Malik, that everyone was terrified of him. Everyone was afraid of him. They would just sit down with their heads down and listen to the dust without a single noise. And you can't misbehave in the class, because then you get kicked out. One guy came and asked Imam Malik, where is Allah? He goes, kick him out. He goes, don't ask me stupid questions like that. He actually, they say, he looked down, he became angry, red, the sweat, he goes, out. So they actually picked him up and threw him out of the masjid. Imam Malik's majalis, he used to have people as guards for the lesson. And if anyone misbehaved, you're getting a beating or you're getting kicked out. You don't misbehave in the class. So one guy, he came from Kufa. You know what, the riwayat of the Quran, Rawi Hisham, he came from there. And he came in, and their custom is, when you see someone, you shout their name. You shout their kunya, like, Ya Aba Fulan, Ya Aba Muhammad, Ya Aba Sufyan. So he comes in the masjid, in the middle of the lesson, Imam Malik is talking. And he comes in and he goes, Salamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. And as soon as he said that, all the students jumped on him. They actually beat him up in the masjid. Because you don't do that, you don't cut off the Imam. So there's a similar incident of a boy who came there and he accidentally did the same. His mom sold the house, sold everything for this young man to go and study under Imam Malik. So he goes all the way to Medina and he does the same and he gets kicked out of the masjid. He gets beaten up and thrown out of the masjid. So he's sitting outside the masjid, on the steps, crying. Imam Malik comes out, he looks at him, he goes, you're a talib of hadith and you're crying? Why are you crying? Because my mom sold everything. My mom sacrificed so much for me to come here and you kicked me out. Wallahi, I'm not going to let you in Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the Imam got shook. Imam got scared. And then he said, what can I do for you to forgive me? He said, the amount of times that your student beat me, tell me that amount of hadith. And it just happened to be 40. He hit him 40 times. So Imam Malik taught him 40 more hadith. 40 hadith. Then the guy stood up and goes to Imam, beat me 40 more times so you can tell me 40 more hadith. Imam, get lost, go. So this was the waqar of and the way that Imam Malik dealt with his students and used to teach. And he became almost around 90 years of age, so he was the oldest out of all the Imams, and he witnessed 8, because obviously Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, as we said, he witnessed the fall of the Umayyad Khulafa and the rise of the Abbasi ones. Yeah? So, Imam Malik, because of his long life, he witnessed 8 Umayyad Khalifas and 5 Abbasi Khalifas. So in total 13 Khulafa. And there was a revolution, you know this Ja'far al-Mansur, the one who imprisoned Abu Hanifa. There was a revolution against Ja'far al-Mansur by a descendant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Imam Malik was secretly siding with the descendant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because of all the corruption of Ja'far al-Mansur. So the governor, because of these issues and problems of revolutionary ideas, he forced a renewed allegiance upon everyone in Medina. He forced them to renew their bay'ah, their allegiance. And one man in one of the halaqat of Imam Malik asked a question, but he was intending a political side to that question. So he said to the Imam, if a man is forced to divorce his wife, is his divorce valid? So the Imam said that nothing is to be accepted by force. You know what he's alluding to, right? The governor forcing everyone to renew their allegiance, and then this guy asking this question. So he goes, nothing is allowed by force in the Sharia. So when this was said, Ja'far al-Mansur, he sent a letter to Imam Malik telling him that he's not allowed to say such things. He's not allowed to utter these kind of statements. The Imam Malik told the Khalifa back that I'm not going to stay quiet. If someone asks me, I'm going to answer. So the Khalifa, from the government, they sent a spy to infiltrate the class and the lessons of Imam Malik, just to ask the same question again to see what Imam Malik would say. So this spy, he got there and he asked Imam Malik the very same question, the exact same question. A man is forced to divorce his wife. Is that divorce valid? He replied the same way. So when the Khalifa heard about this, he ordered Imam Malik to be imprisoned. He already imprisoned one Imam, Abu Hanifa. Now he imprisoned Imam Malik as well. And they were torturing him, beating Imam Malik. And so because of all the protests and problems, they were forced to release him. There is a story saying that they beat him so badly that his arms were not functioning properly, and that's why he prayed with his arms to the side. But the story is not sahih and sound. But he was tortured and he was imprisoned. And a 13-year-old boy from Mecca, his mom was the cousin of the governor of Mecca. And this boy's mom said to the governor of Mecca, intercede on my son's behalf, send a letter to the governor of Medina so my son can study under Imam Malik. So that happened, and this young boy, he went to Medina, age of 13, and he got to the governor of Medina with a letter from the governor of Mecca. So the governor of Medina opened the letter and started shaking. He got scared, and his face dropped and changed. So this young boy says, what's happened? He goes, if the governor of Mecca told me to move a mountain and go the desert barefoot, it will be easier than to go and talk to Imam Malik. just because he's so scared, he's terrified of him. So this young boy says, well, you don't have to go to him, he can come to you. He laughed, he goes, no, that's not how things work. Imam Malik, don't come to me, I have to go to him. So they went to Imam Malik's house, they knocked on the door, and a lady servant opened the door saying that, what do you want? If there's a hadith related query, come to the lesson. If it's related to the government, this is not the time. So the governor of Medina says, I've got a letter from the governor of Mecca. And this young boy says, I saw this tall man with beard coming down to his chest, blonde, white complexion, come out. And a chair was brought for him and he sat down. And he says to the governor, what does the governor of Mecca want with me? So the governor of Medina, he didn't even say anything. He didn't even say anything, and he just handed him a paper like that. Didn't even say salam. That's how scared he was. So he took it, Imam grabbed it, and he read the letter because of like intercession on that little boy's behalf. So he can study under him. So he threw the letter. And he goes, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Has it come to this that knowledge requires connections? So this young boy, being clever and intellectual, the first thing he says to just get the attention of Imam Malik, says, Salaam alaikum ya Imam. May Allah have mercy on you. I am from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am a Qurayshi. Because of getting the attention, just to grab the attention of Imam Malik. So Imam Malik asks him how much he has done already with his studies, where has he reached in knowledge. And he said, I have memorized the Quran, I have memorized your Muwatta in 1 week, 1,400 hadith. And Imam Malik tested him in the whole of Muwatta, and he managed to read all of it, all 1,400 hadith, with the chain of narration and everything. So he said, O young man, there's a light that I see in you. Don't extinguish it with sins. Keep away from sins, and I can see a light inside you, greatness that will come from you. And now you guys can tell me who this little young boy was. Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. This was Imam al-Shafi'i, the age of 13, who met his teacher Imam Malik and then studied under him for almost the rest of Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi's life. And when the Imam passed away at the age of 90, leaving this legacy behind, his madhab, such an amazing madhab. There are some views of the madhab that we would hear and think they're very odd. But then when actually looking and studying the madhab, we realize that their way of deducing rulings, deriving rulings, is so strong that you start doubting your own madhab if you're on another one. For example, the matter of saliva of the dog being pure. In the Malikiyya, the view is that the saliva of the dog is pure. The other three say najis. Yeah. So the hadith that the three use, they say that Rasulullah says if the saliva of the dog gets to your plate, you have to wash it 7 times and 1 time with soil. And the Malikiyya say, yeah, that doesn't mean it's najis. Because they have another classification for purity and impurity. Purity, impurity, and things that are disliked, not like al-qadr. So they will say this is part of that. Is disliked, it's not nice. That doesn't mean it's khabith. It's najis. And they quote a hadith saying that at the time of the Sahaba, the dog used to come in and out of the masjid. Always, they're coming in and out. They kept on going on things and the vessel and everything. Does that mean everything is now najis? Because they go in and keep coming in and out. And they mentioned the part where in the Quran they say the dog is not mentioned in the list of muharramat and the ones that are najis. And also they mentioned the ayah in Ma'idah that says that, you know, your hunting dog, if you have a hunting dog and you've made, now there's obviously, you don't use bow and arrow. If you shoot a bird and you have a hunting dog, obviously it will go and get it for you. So when he gets that for you, you can eat it and it's halal for you, even though he's bit into it. So these are the sort of dalail that they use for their argument, and there are a lot more on both sides. So Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayh, he's through one of the scholars who spread his madhab in the African continent. Now most of Africa are Malikiyah, except for yes, Somalia. Somalia, they are Shafi'is, and Misr to an extent. Misr, they are a mixture of Hanafis and Shafi'is. And you have Jordan, Syria, these are Shafi'iyah. Yemen, they're Shafi'is. Shafi'is. Saudi used to be Malikiyah, but then they changed their madhab into the madhab of Imam Ahmad. Just became more norm, and they start studying that more than the madhab of Imam Malik. So now in Kuwait and in Oman, the Maliki madhab. The rest of Asia, all Hanafis, almost all Hanafis. So when we go through these, the intention, like we said in the beginning, is not that we just listen to stories, that we get to know these people, and that's the only way you'll be able to love that person, look up to that person, and respect him for what he did, said, and worked for, what he did for us. That he's giving everything, given us everything on a plate, instead of doing the hard work for ourselves. It's already been done for you. All the Imams have done it for you, and this is the way that fiqh and rulings of halal and haram have been preserved, as we mentioned. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to follow in the footsteps of these Imams, these great Imams. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to attain beneficial knowledge that will benefit us and keep us away from vain speech and knowledge that does not benefit. Barakallahu feekum. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.
غرباء 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 غرباء